Welcome back to the Listen to Reading Center Scholars. This is part 6 of our book Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Greg Heffley's journal. And in part 6, you are going to be expected to be here at the Listening to Reading Center the whole time. This should be the third row of your 3 rows on your passport. And this is the last time you will come to the Listen to Reading Center when you are on the orange passport. So it's the last time. Okay, let's jump right in and see what Greg is up to now. So, Monday. This video game ban is a whole lot tougher than I thought it would be. Now, if you remember, Greg's dad had grounded him from video games. But at least I'm not the only one in the family who's in trouble. Roderick's in some hot water with Mom right now. Manny got a hold of one of Roderick's heavy metal magazines, and one of the pages had a picture of a woman in a bikini lying across the hood of a car. And Manny brought it into daycare for show and tell. Now here's a picture of Manny with Roderick's picture and all the little kids in preschool. Now also remember right now that your eyes should be on the screen. Your eyes should be following along with the words as my mouse points to them and I read them aloud. Anyway, I don't think Mom was too happy about getting that phone call. I saw the magazine myself, and it honestly wasn't anything to get worked up over, but Mom doesn't allow that kind of stuff in the house. Roderick's punishment was that he had to answer a bunch of questions Mom wrote out for him. So here's what she wrote. Did owning this magazine make you a better person? He put no. Did it make you more popular at school? He put no. How do you feel about having owned this type of magazine now? He put, I feel ashamed. Do you have anything you want to say to women for having owned this offensive magazine? He says, I'm sorry, women. So his mom is upset because she thinks that the magazine, and I think I agree with her, is offensive to women because it displays pictures of women that are inappropriate. So she's making Roderick answer these questions on paper. Wednesday. I'm still grounded from playing video games, so Manny has been using my system. Mom went out and bought a whole bunch of educational video games, and watching Manny play them is like torture. And the video game's asking, what number comes after 2 and rhymes with tree? And Manny's here thinking, because he's just little, so he doesn't remember his numbers very well yet. And Greg's back here frustrated because he wants Manny to just answer it and win. The good news is I finally figured out how to get some of my games past Raleigh's dad. I just put one of my discs in Manny's Discovering the Alphabet case, and that's all it takes. He's pretty tricky. So now there's Raleigh's dad saying, Thursday. At school today, they announced that student government elections are coming up. To be honest with you, I've never had any interest in student government, but when I started thinking about it, I realized getting elected treasurer could totally change my situation at school. So, few things. I noticed they're talking about government and that he talked about an election. Connect this to our social studies lesson and think about what kind of democracy that is, or what kind of, government that is, if Greg is looking for votes and trying to get elected. And if you thought democracy, you were right. No. Here are some people that are voting, and they say, we're cheerleaders, are tired of riding to games in the same bus as the nerds in the band. And Greg's saying, let me see what I can do about that. And here's another one of Greg's daydreams where he bought them their own limo to go to the games in. Now, why do you think Greg's daydreaming about this? Think back to the things that Greg talked about in the earlier parts that we read of his journal. Yep, Greg really wanted girls to like him. So, I'm assuming that that's why he's doodled out this daydream in particular. But here's another one, and even better. We Jacks just need an air pump to inflate our only football. And he's saying, yeah, sorry, can't help you with that. So he's saying no to the football players who are mean to him, and yes to the cheerleaders. Nobody ever thinks about running for treasurer, because all anyone ever cares about are the big ticket positions like president and vice president. So I figure if I sign up tomorrow, the treasurer job is pretty much mine for the taking. Friday. Today, I went and put my name on the list to run for treasurer. Unfortunately, this kid named Marty Porter is running for treasurer too. And he's real brainy at math. So, this might not be as easy as I thought. I told Dad that I was running for student government, and he seemed pretty excited. It turns out he ran for student government when he was my age, and he actually won. Dad dug through some old boxes in the basement and found one of his campaign posters. Here's a campaign poster for Greg's dad. It says integrity. Ooh, where else in the room do we see the word integrity? Yep, that's one of our scholar traits. Honesty. Know-how. Vote. Frank Heffley for secretary. So, Greg's dad was actually running for secretary and Greg is running for treasurer. So a little different. I thought the poster idea was pretty good, so I asked Dad to drive me to the store to get some supplies. I loaded up on poster board and markers and I spent the rest of the night making all my campaign stuff. So let's just hope these posters work. Monday. I brought my posters into school today and I have to say they came out pretty good. And here's his poster. Do you want Marty Porter to be your treasurer? Dar. Hey, you're dropping all of our money, you fool. So what's different between his poster here and his dad's poster? His poster doesn't mention the other candidate at all. It only talks about why he would be good at the job. Greg's poster is kind of mean. It's saying something bad about Marty Porter. And then here's another one. Remember in second grade how Marty Porter had head lice? Do you really want him touching your money? That's another mean one that Greg came up with. I started hanging my posters as soon as I got in. But they were only up for about 3 minutes before Vice Principal Roy spotted them. Mr. Roy said, you weren't allowed to write fabrications about the other candidate. So I told Mr. Roy that the thing about head lice was true, and how it practically closed down the whole school when it happened. But he took down all my posters anyway. So today, Marty Porter was going around handing out lollipops to buy himself votes while my posters were sitting at the bottom of Mr. Roy's trash can. I guess this means my political career is officially over. October. Monday. Well, it's finally October, and there are only 30 days left until Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, even though Mom says I'm getting too old to go trick-or-treating anymore. Halloween is Dad's favorite holiday, too. But for a different reason. On Halloween night, while all the other parents are handing out candy, Dad is hiding in the bushes with a big trash can full of water. And if any teenagers pass by our driveway, he drenches them. And here he is with his big bucket of water saying, "Yar!" I'm not sure Dad really understands the concept of Halloween, but I'm not going to be the one who spoils his fun. And here he's saying, "Trick or treat." And the teenagers are soaking wet. Tonight was the opening night of the Crossland High School haunted house, and I got Mom to agree to take me and Raleigh. Raleigh showed up at my house wearing his Halloween costume from last year. When I called him earlier, I told him to just wear regular clothes. But of course, he didn't listen. So here's Greg in regular clothes and Raleigh in his Superman outfit. I tried not to let it bother me too much, though. I've never been allowed to go to the Crossland haunted house before, and I wasn't going to let Raleigh ruin it for me. Roderick has told me all about it, and I've been looking forward to this for about 3 years. Anyway, when we got to the entrance, I started having second thoughts about going in. And here's a head on a table saying, "Good evening." And there's Raleigh, Greg, and Greg's mom. But Mom seemed like she was in a hurry to get this over with, and she moved us along. Once we were through the gate, it was one scare after another. There were vampires jumping out at you and people without heads and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the worst part was this area called Chainsaw Alley. There was this big guy in a hockey mask, and he had a real chainsaw. Roderick told me the chainsaw had a rubber blade, but I wasn't taking any chances. Right when it looked like the chainsaw guy was going to catch us, Mom stepped in and bailed us out. He's saying, "Arr!" and chasing them. His mom saying, "That's not nice." And the chainsaw man says, "I'm sorry, ma'am." Mom made the chainsaw guy show us where the exit was, and that was the end of our haunted house experience. Right there. I guess it was a little embarrassing when Mom did that, but I'm willing to let this one go this one time. Now, we're going to stop right there. Your assignment for this listen to reading is that you need to take out your journal and write a summary of what we read today. If you need to replay parts of the video to remember some details for your summary, you may do so. Remember that a summary has 5 parts. You can look back at the poster on the window up by my desk if you need to remember those 5 parts. And be sure to label your journal for the center that you're at, the date, your name, and your learning target, which can be found on your passport. I hope you've enjoyed this part of our book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and I look forward to reading with you again.